Well, hi everybody, how you doing? I just wanted to give you an inspiring video, I hope. But what I'm going to do is show you how I go about shaping the backs of guitar necks and what tools that I use. Well, first of all, this is a maple back rosewood fingerboard. It's a crude form. I still need to trim the neck here and here. And it's not really cut the way I would like it to be for this demonstration, but it's the only one I had, and my bandsaw blade broke, and I need to get a new one. But anyway, I have enough information here where I can give you a demonstration. The tools that I use are a hand rasp like this. It's very coarse, and it's got a radius top here and then a flat bottom. I use different grades of sandpaper, 220, I'm sorry, let's start with 80 grit, 100 grit, then you can go to 220 and then 320. I use, this is dry sandpaper, and the secret weapon is my angle grinder. This is what I use with it's got a flapper coarse wheel on it, and you can get them in some really heavy grades like grits. This is a 40 or a 60 grit, I'm not sure, but anyway, it does the cutting that I need to achieve here. So bottom line, what I'm going to do is incorporate the cutting to give you this type of a radius as you see here. So I've already started by giving it. This is, let's just say your neck is in a crude form where it's got a right angle here, and we've got this point. We need to start squaring this bulk off and making it nice and round as you see here. So what I started to do was to cut a flat edge in the center, and I'm going to be cutting inwards to get the radius that I want for the size neck that I want, whether it be a wide C, a flat back, half of baseball bat. There's so many different feels you can get, but typically I would actually cut into the headstock here and here, and the base of the neck, you know, at the heel where it bolts into the body, or if it's set neck. If it's set neck, that's done later on. But I have a center line here, and what I try to do is I try to achieve, just pretend that this line here is where the fingerboard meets the maple. I know it's wider, but typically that's trimmed off. But I'll cut flat angles like this. I'll start here, and then I'll start at this pinnacle here, and then at this pinnacle here. Let me point that out again. I start at this pinnacle, then I'll start here at this one, and then I continue on cutting here, all the same width, between a 1/2 inch to 5/8, and I keep them uniform. The thickness on my necks are about 3/4 of an inch at the nut end, and then at the 12th fret it's about 7/8 of an inch. They all vary. Fender necks are 1 5/8 width at the nut. We got a 1 5/8 width at the nut, and then a 2 3/16 width at the butt end. You know, if I'm off screen, I apologize. I'm just trying to learn a lot about my videotaping, and so I'll try to focus here and get everything centered. But anyway, so I made my first cut, and I used this right angle grinder. You can use a rasp, and if I was to spend a lot of time and effort, you know, I can actually cut that pinnacle down with my rasp, but you know, it just takes a long time, and I just don't like the wear and tear that it puts on me. You can see that little cut there. I like to use my secret weapon, which is the angle grinder, so I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Now, one thing you want to be careful for is cutting into your shape of your headstock. I have a little bit that I cut in there, but this is a crude cut form here. I'm not quite finished with that though, but so we're okay. But I'm going to go ahead and cut on this point here. Let's see if I can get this to look. I'm going to cut on that point right there, and then I'll do this other one. So let me go ahead and do that. Sometimes you may have to concentrate on an area, and don't forget, it's going to start tapering thinner and thicker, so you kind of have to work with that, and it's like a visual thing. You have to look at it. So I'm going to continue on with these cutting the pinnacle points here. So what I'm doing is, as I continue to cut each plane, you can see how this plane got a little thicker, and then it narrowed down the center cut, and then this one's thick, and I have to continue on with that pinnacle point there until I reach the fingerboard. But I gradually bring in my contour by using this method. By cutting no more than a 1/2 inch to 5/8 on each plane, see, I'm able to monitor as I cut into the side of the neck. And what's done on this side, I do it on the opposite side. So let's say I already did this here, okay, and that's sanded and smoothed out. And then I'm cutting this side now, and I'm going to try and match it with what we have over here. So what I'm going to do next is cut these, in other words, you keep sanding these planes until you get close to that radius that you want. You can always cut in, but you can't build up, so you got to be real careful. Now I'm going to cut these other points here and kind of even it off. You see we're getting closer to where the maple meets the fretboard. So I'm going to continue on a little more because I think I need to cut more. So. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make it a little more of a radius look by using this. Now you got to be careful. There's a feel that you're going to have to learn here on the weight of the hand tool, plus your strength of your arm. If you keep it moving like I did, you're going to be okay. If you stop, it's going to continue and cut into the wood. So you got to keep it moving, and if you want to pull away like that or like this, okay, that'll work. So, but you're going to have to learn a feel. It takes a little while, but you can get it done. Now, I'll pretty much, if I did the whole neck, then this is a point that I would want it to conclude as. And it still has ridges in there, and I'm going to try some other steps using the file. And this will start to get all the high spots that I cut and kind of smooth everything and make a nice even blended curve. Now I'm also making scratches with this file that need to come out, and that's what we'll use our sandpaper for. Okay, I think that's about it. And you can see how it's starting to meet over to this other side. And eventually I would just keep cutting and cutting till they very closely met. And then I'll show you a method that I use to even it off. So what I'll do at this point is get my sandpaper, and I'll sand with the 80 grit or 100 grit until I get it to a certain smooth texture. And then after that, I will use 220, and that'll get me down to the finish that I want. You can even go to 320 dry if you want. And what you need to do, I don't know if I can get these into shot. Let me give it. But if you look closely, you might be able to see scratches. All the scratches that are horizontal with the grain need to come out. You want to sand with the grain at all times. Now I'm going to do a rough cut, but after this rough cut, it's like my shoe shine method. Then I come back with a 220 and get rid of the abrasive cuts made from the sandpaper. But what I'll do is I kind of hold the neck in between my legs like this. I'm kind of awkward here with the camera, but what I'll do is I'll use this kind of a method where I go like this, back and forth. And what it does is, see, I'm going to do it off camera here. What that does is any little peaks or high spots will start to come and make this radius, because I'm cutting, you can see how that's curved. I'm cutting like that, going back and forth around the neck. And so that starts to give me the radius that I want. And I like to do this where I feel the back of the neck with my hand as I rotate the neck. See, I'm using that motion here. And that'll also tell me, our hands are very sensitive, and we'll detect abnormal high spots, things like that. But that's pretty much how I do it, and it's a very fast and easy way to cut the sharpness or the squareness off of a piece of a maple, which would be your neck. Let's see if we can see that. I mean, you can see it's not quite there yet, but that's the look that you'll ultimately get. Well, that's about it. I thank you so much for your attention, and I hope this video will be inspiring for you. And you can always try this on a blank piece of square stock, that looks like this. And just work at it. Practice makes perfect. So you just keep working at it, and you can get it done. I appreciate all the viewing and the positive comments. I appreciate your loyalty as fans for Sandoval Engineering and of my work. So I just wish you all the best. Thank you, and God bless.